Okay, party people, what's going on? JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here for another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you interacting with us and all the videos that we have here on the channel. As you can see, Dogon SS is on location from the city of birth down in Miami. But this train don't stop rolling, so we'll continue to crank out this logical content. Shouts out to everybody who has joined the tribe, man. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hitting that like button. We certainly appreciate it. As a reminder, man, if you ever have any time, go ahead and let us know what you think about the commentary in any of our videos, man. Go ahead and leave that comment. But be that as it may, thank you so much for joining the tribe, man. We certainly appreciate it as we continue to grow this community. Had a good week on the channel last week. We are almost up to 500, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things in terms of the internet, but it's significant for us because a win is a win is a win, right? So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get right into it. The first thing that we are going to touch on this week are interesting comments made by Nicki Minaj. At this point, we pretty regularly talk about topics related to music and the music industry because we do believe here at Conscious Approach that things such as music and sports do reflect in a microcosm things going on in the world at large or in society and culture. Plus, we did grow up listening to the music, so we are certainly not shy to commenting on what's going on with the music, the business of the music industry, or just the culture around it, period. And Nicki Minaj recently talked about some of the aspects of the music industry today that she is displeased with. In particular, she feels as though the music industry, in a rush to replace her with female rappers who are not talented and who cannot rap, has contributed to a decline in the quality of the product, which has in turn contributed to a decline in support for the music overall. But do not let me speak for Nicki Minaj. I'll go ahead and let Nicki Minaj speak for herself. So Nicki made these comments, and she had someone respond to the comments that she made. Jess Hilarious, who is a black female comedian, she's pretty popular on the internet. Particularly on Instagram. She's been on the Breakfast Club and whatnot. She responded to what Nicki Minaj had to say. But first, we're going to get into what Nicki Minaj said. So, this article says Nicki Minaj blasts industry for weak state of female hip hop. Jess Hilarious responds. Nicki Minaj recently stirred up a firestorm by speaking on the current state of female hip hop, one she feels quite disappointed by. Moreover, she recently called out the music industry for, in her opinion, signing female rappers with subpar rapping ability in order to replace her. Of course, the Trinidadian MC has a lot to say on this subject and has plenty of good reason to right now, if not for the fact that she's promoting her new album Pink Friday 2. On that album, she also tears into other femcs and the hip hop game as a whole. So she's just relaying what she already spit. But the 41-year-old definitely ruffled some feathers here and spoke on people who don't know music being authorities. Ruffled some feathers here and spoke on people who don't know music being authorities on it, addressing a topic that is much bigger than just her. So here is what Nicki Minaj had to say. So here's some audio. We'll let you be the judge of what she had to say.
More important. Rap should sound like fucking rap. That's y'all fucking problem, and that's why all of the record labels are, not all, but some are scrambling so bad because they about to go fucking bankrupt. Because they was trying so bad to replace this one bitch. And when you water something down, you lose the quality, which then loses the investors and investments. Because it's not bringing back any profit. And that is why people who do not understand rap are judging rap. Why? It's because same way y'all used to get mad and say, who's actually voting for the Grammys? Well, guess what? You have no idea. And most people voting for most awards don't listen to that kind of music that they're voting. Most people speaking on music don't actually listen to the kind of music they're speaking on.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, scathing. Uh, I don't know why these people when they, but I don't get it. I don't, and this is obviously an aside, but I don't know how you can like get on a live and not have your phone charged. I noticed that like these famous people be getting on these live streams and doing their thing, and they got the little notification popping up, 20% battery left. Like charge your battery, yo. And then further down it says here, Jess Hilarious chimes in. Um, Meanwhile, comedian, radio host, and the Breakfast Club alum Jess Hilarious had this to retort with, quote, but you're purposefully doing features with these girls that can't rap. She wrote in the comment section of the Neighborhood Talks coverage of Nicki's statements, you never put somebody that can actually rap on your shit. So you're in fact helping the labels replace you for blah 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 blah. So that was Jess Hilarious's retort to what Nicki Minaj had to say, basically calling her out for being a hypocrite because Nicki is saying the industry is putting on the forefront a bunch of these bad female rappers, and Jess Hilarious is like, well, if that's so true, then why do you keep collaborating with and putting these same bad rappers who you claim that the industry is trying to replace you with on your very own music? So, a lot to dig in there, obviously. But what do you make of Nicki Minaj's comments and then Jess Hilarious's response to those comments?
I think Nikki, the irony about this whole situation, because it's ironic, which makes it hilarious, uh, for her just absolutely being oblivious to what's going on in the room. Uh, this clearly shows self-absorption from her in the sense that she's just living in her own bubble in her own world. But uh, I would also throw her in the pot of people who can't rap. Now, hang on. So there's a thing where technically people can rap. So flow, cadence, be that as it may, whatever, right? Bars, if you will. Uh, there's like it's kind of like NBA basketball where these guys can shoot good, they can dribble good, jump out the gym, all this other good stuff. But that doesn't those types of skills doesn't make you a good basketball player. So the same thing goes for being an artist, in my opinion. So for her, flow, cadence, and all that stuff, those are top tier when it comes to industry standards. So she's pretty good when it comes to that skill wise. But when it comes to actual substance, what are you talking about? She talks about everything that these other women talk about. So I really find it ironic that she is blaming these other women who basically are her children for diluting and watering down rap. And this is where her narcissism, her being lost in the room and not reading the signs, is that she doesn't think she's a part of that crowd, which in actuality she really is. And that's just on that level. Then when what Jess Hilarious said, well, be that as it may, I'll grant you that you're a top tier MC. Even if you're top tier MC, why are you collaborating with these, you know, lot lizards? Why are you doing this? If your moral high ground is so high, you have so much integrity as an artist, why are you collaborating with the ABC short bus rappers? So I understand it's frustrating that you are being replaced. That is Nicki Minaj. I understand that it is frustrating for her, but at the same time, she was a cash cow in her time, and now the new machine has found a new form of cattle, and she can't be upset that she's no longer considered prime rib or Angus. She's down there with the grade F meat that belongs in Taco Bell, servers, whatever. So, yeah, I just think that this is the pot calling the kettle black. I feel as though she has her own hand in the demise of hip hop in the last decade or so. It was already in a downward trajectory. I feel as though her weight actually helped propel it even further down. So, what about you, bro? What are your thoughts on the irony from Miss Nicki Minaj here and Jess Hilarious calling her out for it?
Yeah, all of that part. It is funny, and I find the lack of self awareness on the part of people like her, people like this, very fascinating. Like how dug in your hole, and how like accustomed to being in your own echo chamber do you have to be to maintain this level of a lack of self awareness? There's two aspects of this that you can look at it, right? So there's two angles going on. There's what Nicki Minaj is talking about in terms of the state of music and the state of female rap and blah 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 blah. And then there's also the other aspect of the business of the music industry. So first we can just tackle the easy one, which is the irony inherent in her words, because you're absolutely correct. You birthed a lot of what you have a problem with. Like what we see happening in female rap in particular is homogenized content. Yes, I don't dig into the crates. I'm not on Spotify digging into the crates, listening to the indie rap artists. I'm going off of what I hear mainstream. I'm going off of what I hear on radio. I'm going off of the artists that I see featured on all of the black media shows and the podcasts and on the YouTube shows. That's what's forming what I call popularized hip hop, popularized rap. And the content from the majority of these female rappers is consistent with what I think is a sound that Nicki Minaj was a part of creating. So she gave birth to a lot of the rappers who today spend the majority of their time musically talking about how their vagina is for sale to the highest bidder, how you cannot be in the vicinity of their vagina if you don't make a certain amount of money, and how their time and attention is there's a valuation on their time and attention. And it's no broke dudes allowed. That's the majority of female rap. Is that correct or not? So she was a part of creating that distinct sound. Now she can argue that she was perhaps better at doing it. If she wants to make the claim that she has more bars, more talent, more rapping ability when it comes to that, I'll entertain that discussion. That's fine. But at the end of the day, the content, or to use your word, the substance, is consistent with this. It just might be a little more diluted now because you have more people doing it, and the abundance, or rather the overabundance of the artists who are doing it, are more talentless. So it's diluting something that was already starting from a place of dilution to begin with. So in retrospect, it's very ironic to hear her talking about the state of female rap and the music industry being diluted, when it's at least in small part diluted because of a sound that she helped to curate in the first place. So that's the easy thing. Now, to the more complicated issue about the music industry in general. Or maybe it's not that complicated. Maybe it is actually pretty simple. And shouts out to you because you put me up on this. Because going back years, whenever we used to talk about music, and when we started doing these videos and we would touch on music issues, like I was always in my mind looking at it from the standpoint of the artist. And I was always looking at it from the artist perspective. And I was always saying the music industry is continuing to deteriorate because the good artists are leaving and they're just being replaced with artists who aren't as good. I was always looking at it from the angle of the artist. And you hit me to the idea that what you hear and what gets put out in terms of the business of the music is a strategic effort that is largely backed by the largest people who can finance what they want to put out there. So it caused me to go in and do my research on how the music industry works. And I did my research and I learned that the music that you hear is not a result of what's popular or who's good or lack thereof. It's basically a pay to play game. Whatever artist gets put out there and has the most money getting put behind them, that's the music that you're going to hear. So I always used to think the people are dictating the music that gets played. In other words, the people are telling the industry, we like this kind of music, so give us more. And the industry is in turn saying, oh, this is what you guys want to hear? Sure. Here's more artists who play this kind of stuff, who make this kind of music. But no, that's not actually what it is. Now what's going on is the industry is telling us what we want to hear, and we're just responding to it. So all of these vagina rappers who are flooding the market, who are flooding your ears with this box rap, it isn't because the streets are saying, give us more of that. It's because the music industry is saying, give them more of that. And the labels are putting more money behind those artists who make that kind of music. And what you get as a result is a reverse engineering of popular music, particularly in this genre. So it's a pay to play game. It's a money game. Nicki Minaj was once a recipient of this.
Yes.
When Nicki Minaj first came out in the late 2000s, she was the one who had a bunch of money being pumped behind her and had her in the forefront and had all of her music skyrocketing to the top of all of the charts. She was the one who was replacing the previous, guard behind her in terms of female rap. So this is a cyclical thing. And what she is seeing happening right before her very eyes is the next round of bad music that is being paid for by record labels and such. And the market is being flooded with their bad music, the Ice Spices of the world, and the City Girls and Megan Thee Stallions and the Pink Pantheresses and Rennie Rucci's and Kim the Mans of the world. We're not asking for this. The labels are saying, put their music out there. Here's however much it costs, pay to play. And so Sirius XM, all of the stations, all of the podcasts, they're being paid to have these artists on their platform. It's a money game.
Correct.
And Nicki Minaj was once a recipient of this. So she can get upset all she wants, but this is merely her blowing smoke at a machine that no longer cares about her because it's moved on to the next generation of crop that they can pay to put in front of your face. So, I mean, it's sour grapes. And I feel what Jess Hilarious is saying. It's like, put your money where your mouth is. If this was so important to you and you really cared about the integrity of the music, and more specifically the integrity of the female rap game, then feature female rappers on your own stuff who are actually about that rap life, instead of making, whatever songs you make with some of these other female rappers you got featured on your stuff here. So, two angles obviously that you can approach it from, but I think that it's just sour grapes on her part. She once benefited from the very same thing that she's complaining about, and now that she can no longer benefit from it because the machine is aging her out of the process, she feels some type of way about it.
Yeah, I mean, just hop on the track with Jean Grey or Rap City and hold your own. Hold your own. Let's see what you got as far as bars, because just for those two in particular, if you ask them to give you, a song, a 16, they can rap better than a lot of dudes. So Nicki, if you top tier female artist, the baddest bitch in the game, why don't you rap with real rappers? But she's not going to do that. And point well taken, man. She was definitely an industry plant. That's a term that people are using nowadays But if you want to superimpose this and look back in the past, not just because that's a contemporary term, people are using that now. But if you look back and look at all the industry plants that were given to us, Nicki Minaj is one of them. I remember, man, I think it was 2009, where she was really like, stepping in there. And I remember it was a Yo Gotti song, and she was featured in there. I can't remember. If you guys remember, put it in the chat. But I'm sitting there listening to it, and I was like, yo, she can flow. Like, this isn't bad for a feat, because at the time there wasn't any female industry rappers out there. And so she came in and snapping. Outside of her snapping, in the status quo form of snapping in the industry terms, so she wasn't saying anything of substance. But I'm looking at her and I'm going, whoa, look at her. And so the girl that I was talking to at the time, she took offense to what I was saying, but I'm about to say what I said then. And I said, this woman's going to be a problem. And then she was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, she can rap and she looks good. So she thought that I meant that she looks good, like I think she looks good. I wasn't talking about, because at that time, her body didn't look natural, but it looked clean. She had honestly one of the best BBLs in the early 2000s. And so she was looking crisp. And so I'm like, who paid for that surgery? Who paid for her to be in my face like this? Like, what's going on with this? She's on every song after that. Her other stuff starts blowing up. She's in everybody's feed. And my prediction came true. This woman was a problem. Fast forward 14, 15 years later, now she has children she's complaining about that are following the same blueprint that you mentioned, that these labels are just force feeding these people to us. The Ice Spices, the Sukihanas.
Yeah.
I don't think 3,000 Bodies. I don't think she's I don't think no labels behind her, because she's not. I don't hear any of her songs. But the other girls, yeah, man, they on the radio and they're getting spins. And so yeah, I think that this is just chicken's coming home to roost for her. I don't know, like you said, I don't know how far down in her own echo chamber that she is, that she can't even read the writing on the wall, that these major labels are the ones that gave her shot. Now, if you guys look back at those old footages of Nicki when she was just, just, whatever she's from in New York, rapping and, similar to Meek Mill with his dirty braids, this is pre-BBL. She was just trying to spit bars. But as soon as Universal Records or whatever Cash Money's affiliated with, as soon as that entity got their hands on her, I'm pretty sure that's part of her advance money and all that stuff was to give us this plastic body she has. So, yeah, man, they have a whole formula for this type of stuff. Now they've, we still got our BBLs, but now it has, devolved into strictly ratchet back page rappers. These girls are just former back page women who picked up a microphone. That's what it sounds like. They're talking about oral copulation on men's sphincters, and that's part of the that's part of dropping bars now. So, I mean, on one hand, I can't agree with it that this stuff is trash, but she was the I don't want to say pioneer, because she definitely picked up where Kim and Foxy Brown them left off. But as far as the new age thing that everybody was following, yeah, Nicki, look in the mirror. So a bunch of hot air from this woman. Can't really buy anything she's saying right now. Of course, she's frustrated because her bag is probably slipping. But hey, chicken's coming home roost. It was only a matter of time before this caught up with her, and it seems like it has.
Yeah. She's certainly not a pioneer. Like, I don't want to make it seem as though she's the first one to do box rap. Yeah. But I think that, her generation is the generation that directly coincides with the industrialization of hip hop. Like, because it was making money and growing prior to her, obviously,
Mhm.
but it truly became industrialized, I believe, in my opinion, starting in the 2000s all the way through that decade, the 2000s. And that's what coincides with the start of her career. So I think her place in it is she directly coincides with the capitalization and the industrialization of the genre, the effort to turn it into a major genre and make it a pay to play game. Her generation of artists directly coincides with that element really taking hold in terms of the music itself. So no, she isn't a pioneer, but it was her generation is lightning in a bottle. It's a result of perfect timing.
Mhm.
And all you have to do is follow the money. Because that whole, I mean, Wayne is same with Wayne, Drake,
Yeah.
that young money machine, cash
Yep.
money, they had a lot of money to spend.
Yep.
Birdman, that's a lot of money behind that. And if you have a lot of money, you can see to it that your music gets a lot of spins because it's a pay to play game. And they're not the only ones who are able to do that. So, all of the other artists who are backed by labels with that capability are going to be the ones who are the most in front of your face as well. So, what we're looking at here is the business of hip hop, not the music of it. And Nicki Minaj is still talking as though we're still dealing with the music of it, and we are well past that point. This is all pay to play. It's all about business. And I'm looking at her Pink Friday 2 catalog here because you know what's gonna happen is you're gonna have people who get into the comments and say we're ignorant and we don't know what we're talking about because we ain't familiar with her music, blah blah blah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've made it very clear that I am talking about popularized rap. The majority of the listenership does not dig into the crates on Nicki Minaj's album cuts. What moves the people in the culture is the music that you hear the most, which is what you're going to get in the podcast, social media, Spotify world. So, for all of y'all who want to give us that, you can, take it somewhere else. But for the sake of being reasonable, I'm looking at the Pink Friday 2 track listing here. The vast majority of the songs are her by herself. It's 22 songs, and I don't see no box rappers in her songs. So she's got J. Cole is on there, Drake is on there, Wayne is on there. She's got Uzi Vert on there. She's got Lourdes, who's like a pop, she's like a vocalist, a young girl. And then you got other people who I've never heard of, like Skillenberg, Skang. I don't know who that is. Future is there. Tasha Cobbs Leonard, not sure who that is. But maybe now she's trying to do, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what Nicki Minaj does moving into the future. I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying for the sake of argument, I don't see Megan Thee Stallion here. I don't see Cardi B here. I think she got beef with them anyway, so I guess they probably wouldn't be on here anyway.
Exactly.
I don't see no JT, no Young Miami. I don't see no Ice Spice. I don't see none of the typical box rappers that you hear on the radio all day talking about how their time and vagina is for sale to rich guys. So even though I do think she was a part of what helped to really put that sound out into the ether, and I just think a lot of these female rappers out now, these female rappers who she claims are watering down the sound, took the baton from her and ran with it, and they just put it on steroids. So sour grapes, I think she was a part of that initial formula. It is what it is, but this is business as usual when it comes to this music stuff. Look no further than following the money. That's all this is about. And her being upset about this is merely an indication of her seeing that the music industry has decided that they can no longer profit off of her as much as they can off of these new age box rappers.
Yep. And last thing I'll say, man, and as you mentioned, the industry has decided that we don't even need fundamental skills anymore. So you don't need to really know how to dribble for real, shoot for real, or anything like that. We're just going to make you the biggest star out there. And, and you guys can look at, the rise of Tekashi 6ix9ine. And, I mean, no skill whatsoever when it comes to actually rapping. They don't care. The arrogance of this industry has gone into overdrive. And then now we can see this with the latest form of box rappers that don't even have a flow, cadence, or anything. They're just yelling into the mic. My box is hot. My box is hot. Yeah, girl, you burning. So yeah, man. So it is what it is with this industry stuff. But you hit the nail on the head, man. This is a product of the industry moving along, not so much of copycats coming and watering down the game. This is the industry handpicking back page women and telling them to get on the track. So point well taken. Point well taken.
Yeah. Shouts out to Nicki. Good luck. Just I don't know, holla at Snoop Dogg. We're gonna talk about him a little later. You diversify your bonds because I think that this is just a sign of the music industry leaving you behind. And that's what happens. So it is what it is, man.
Facts.